So you find yourself on the ground in this position, maybe for any number of reasons. You could be doing a technique like thrusting knee or striking serpent's head, and the opponent manages to take you down. If you find yourself falling, keep your chin tucked. Don't let the back of your head hit the ground. But here you are. First thing you're going to do is keep your feet really close to your butt. If you find yourself in this position, don't forget the intuitive solutions, right? His groin is right here. It's really easy to hit. So I can maybe drop elbows or punches to the groin. Keep your hands up. Protect your face, right? If he wants to punch me from this position, it's going to be hard to fend them off, but just keep yourself safe. The other thing I have to worry about is maybe keeping my elbows on the insides of his knees, if possible, during all this. If I'm not careful, he can walk up really high and pinch my arms against my face, and now he's got a clear shot to punch me in the nose. So there's a lot to be worried about when you're in this position, so fight your hardest not to get here. But if you're here, think of some things you can do. Elbows, right? Stay safe, keep your face protected. Sit on in here. You can use that bridging aspect to prevent him from punching you, right? If I'm guarding my face, if I've got my elbows in here to keep him from walking up on top of me, and I see that right punch about to come in, and he postures up, he's getting ready to punch, and hands are on the ground. This gives me, saves my face, and it gives me a time to plan my defense. Don't rely on your upper body to move him, but you want to keep your feet really close to your butt, and you want to lift your hips as high as you can, and that's going to drive the opponent's weight behind your head. And so now he's not really sitting on top of you anymore. Most of his weight is above you here. If he's trying to walk up high on your chest, like a riding high position, you're going to want to keep your elbows inside his thighs to sort of keep him low around your waist. And this sort of sets us up for our knee to elbow escape. While I'm protecting my face or hitting him in the groin with punches or elbows, I'm going to straighten my left leg. I'm going to try to roll on my side a little bit as I create some space here with the point of my elbow. I'm on the inside of his thigh. And as best I can, I'm going to pull my left knee to my left elbow. Yeah. And then I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to the other side and try to pull my knee to my elbow. So I'm going to end up in what's sometimes called a butterfly guard if he's pressing down on top of me with his body or his arms coming with your abdomen. Yeah, if he's reaching in towards my body, my feet might get pinned in between his thighs. And so this isn't the best place, but at least I'm not completely underneath him. If I manage to scoot back a little bit, if there is a little distance, I might be able to get my feet out and bicycle kick him off of me, which would be good. Let's do it one more time. There are a few different ways you can do it, the setups and the process. So I'm going to do it one more time for you, and to avoid getting my feet caught in between his thighs, I'm going to pull them out a little sooner. So I'm here, I'm creating some space. As soon as I get this leg out, I'm going to hook it around. So now I don't have to worry about it getting stuck. And it gives me more space to shrimp out to get the other side. And maybe I get this leg around his body. So at least I'm more in a guard position. So I have the opponent in my guard. I have my ankles crossed behind his back. And I don't want him, he's already beginning to set a good posture, which is going to make my work a lot harder. So before he can do that, I want to try to bring him forward, hook behind his head if possible, and grab his upper arm. So I'm controlling his head, his height. So the opponent's in my guard. Perhaps it just took me down. Before he can posture back with a low posture, I'm going to control his head. And my right hand is grabbing his left tricep. Now, something to keep in mind when you're here. If the opponent is pushing forward, he's throwing a punch or using the forearm, I can use my legs to keep him back, right? If he tries to punch or lean forward, I can try to use my lower body to keep him at a distance. If he's forcing on top of me, right, go ahead and lay on top of me with the choke, the same idea applies, right? I can lean him away to relieve that choke. If he's pulling away from me, suppose he's trying to break my guard and get away, right? I can use my legs to pull him towards me. So realize the power of your legs. They're not just idly here around his body, but use them to move him and control him back and forward, kind of mess up his balance and confuse whatever it is he's trying to do to you. So the opponent's in my guard. Perhaps it just took me down. Before he can posture back with a low posture, I'm going to control his head. And my right hand is grabbing his left tricep. I'm going to unhook my feet, and I'm going to pull my butt out from underneath him. Please don't forget the obvious, right? I can take my thumb and put it in his eyeball, right? So you can put it on your forehead here, and you just pretend it hurts real bad. And I can gouge him until he gets off of me. Do you see how easy that was? I mean, that's the easiest escape I can think of. So hit him in the throat, gouge him in the eye, whatever you need. So you find yourself on your back and the opponent's on top of you in mount. And let's start with the opponent a little lower by my belt, right? So in this position, you should have your feet real close to your butt and keeping your elbows in tight here on the inside of his knees, keeping your face guarded. You could maybe drop elbows to the groin or punches, right? And the opponent's going to be working all sorts of stuff. He might be punching, he might come lower and try to choke me. But in this particular scenario, let's say that the opponent starts walking on his knees up my torso, right? He's going to start pinning my arms, and notice I'm walking with him. Each step he takes, I shuffle back a little bit, and I'm trying, although he's pinning me here, I'm trying to keep my elbows on his thighs so that he doesn't make any progress. But let's suppose he does start to make some progress, and he starts walking up a little higher. Right about here, things aren't looking too good. So what I need to do, my bridge isn't going to have the same effect because he's not sitting by my hips. So if I can get my feet inside his armpits, or thereabouts, I can do a backward roll. And in this case, I'm going to roll straight backwards and then towards my right to get him off of me. So it was on a diagonal, and I went over my right shoulder. Now, from here, be careful, but he could very well grab your ankle and try twisting it, as Chris and I discovered here while we were practicing. So if you can keep your feet out of his reach, that's a good idea. Once I've rolled him off this way, I'm still in a pretty dangerous situation. If I can land a strike to the groin, or if I can start escaping without him bicycle kicking my teeth out, I might try that. I could maybe get an ankle and roll him this way using my hands, and that might be enough for me to make my escape. None of this is ideal, none of this is where you want to be, but it's all in an effort to get out from underneath of his mount position. Another something you might consider, one more time. Now, as the opponent gets proportionately larger than you, all of this becomes much more difficult, as Chris and I discovered here while we were practicing this. I had a very difficult time performing this on Chris because he outweighs me. Let's say he starts riding high again. If you can't quite get the feet in the armpits, you might get them around his chest. Now I want to go slow because this might hurt your knees if I'm too successful. But if I can start to bring him back this way, right, it's uncomfortable on his legs and his feet, right? But then maybe I can toss him one way or the other. It'll be a little uncomfortable for both of us, a little awkward, but maybe I can get up an elbow or maybe I can leap off of him. Just anything is better than getting my face pounded into the ground there during the mount. We've looked at a couple techniques that have presented the possibility of you falling on the ground, either on your back or maybe on your side. Techniques like thrusting knee. And so it's probably a good idea to know how to fall, because you're not going to be in those positions unless you have taken a fall. So if you find yourself falling, maybe the opponent's pushing you, maybe he's hugging you, you're naturally going to be taking a step with one foot or the other. In this case, I'll step a little with my right. But rather than falling like a tree, I don't want to go like this and hit my head on the ground. I want to bend my knees as much as possible and squat, doing the slow motion. And then I'm going to roll like a ball, keeping my chin tucked and not allowing my head to hit the ground. And that's a safe way to fall. So in one continuous motion, something like that. Don't let your feet roll over the top of your head, because that just presents an opportunity for your opponent to get on top of you. Now from here, we'll see this idea presented later in a technique called encounter with danger. And in that particular technique, we execute a kick as we fall. A front kick to the groin. So if you're being pushed or tackled, and there's a bit of a distance between you and the opponent, you can fall in this manner and bicycle kick him off of you. I'll do it facing you. So here we are, little step with the right. You notice that my hands reached out. I didn't do this, so let me do it again from the side view. I didn't step down and go wrist, elbow, and then shoulder. That's bad news, right? But my arms did go out to increase my surface area as I roll. Right? So again, I'll do it facing you now. So in this case, a little step with the right, a squat, and a roll, kicking if need. Let me bring the opponent out here so you get a view of that. Let's have you stand over this way. So maybe he's pushing or he's rushing in, he's trying to tackle me, and I'm stepping back and I'm starting to lose my balance. I can't pull off alternating maces or any technique that I know for a push, and I find myself falling. So I have a squat and a roll, sort of gently slapping the ground here. And then if he's at this distance, I can just kick him in the knee or the thigh or the groin until he lets me get back up on my feet. What if he's got a hold of me here? We really don't have a safe place to fall, so we're going to try to do this gently. Let's say the opponent's rushing in, and I'm trying to do a technique like thrusting knee. I'm trying to keep him at bay, but he manages to get a hold of me and take me down. Let's start with an easier one. Let's say you grab the back of my legs and pick me up. Yep. And so as I fall, can you go with me without hurting your head? Yeah, so as I would fall, now there I did it wrong, right? See, I put my arm on the ground. We're going slow and gentle here. But in reality, you want this all to kind of go in one motion. Can we try that again? So, scoot back just a hair. So he rushes in, trying to stop him, and here we go. Yeah, just like that, right? Naturally, your hand's going to come out a little bit. In that case, my left arm went out. But in general, you're rolling, right? You're not letting your head hit, and you're not breaking your wrist on the ground. What now if the opponent rushes at me, and maybe he grabs a little higher around my body? And this time, Chris, I want you to sort of, with one foot or with both of them, you're going to walk around the outside of my feet and try to take me down into a mount position. We'll go nice and easy here. So he's rushing in. I'm trying to stop him, He steps around my feet. Yes, and we end up this way. So do you see how I just gently laid down with him? That's the idea behind that break fall that I introduced earlier. So don't hit your head on the concrete. The opponent might try to kick your leg out from beside. So let me introduce another type of fall. I'll keep this my 12 o'clock.
Now consider yourself in Chris's position. He'll be applying the same methods we saw before, except now he'll be falling on his side. Notice here when I kick out his leg, Chris is rotating and ends up landing on his left side. He'll fall one vertebrae at a time, one rib at a time, so he's rolling on the ground. Notice his arm didn't come out to brace his fall, but he simply laid down and rolled down gently.